name is Daniel Kane Beatz Johnson. I've been instructed to sit in this red carpet, so I will not move around a lot. Let me give you a little bit of background about myself. I've known Charo. Thank you guys for having me here today. I've known him, Miles Monroe Jr., for a very long time. My dad was a preacher and is a preacher in Orlando, Florida. Shout out, Pastor Willie Johnson. And, it gives me a really unique outtake on the industry that I work in. As you guys know, I do music full time. And it's not necessarily, Christian related, but I still have the opportunity to be a blessing to so many people. And I'm just here to talk to you guys about that and, give you guys some advice to hopefully help you guys, whatever guys you're trying to do in your life, entrepreneurship, success. There's so much that I'm willing to share with you guys, and hopefully you guys will be willing to take it. So everyone who's at this event obviously has one thing in common, that you guys all want more for yourself. Because if you don't, you wouldn't even be here. So one thing that I've done a few of these, and one thing I see so many times, people come here and they don't network enough. Every single person should be talking to every single person here. I've seen it countless times. Your boss could be in here. You could be someone else's boss in here. And it's all up to you, how much you want to accomplish out of life. So for me, I started in Orlando, humble. My dad was a preacher. And I went to school at a school called Oral Roberts University. I went to school with Charo there for a little while. And I was doing music at the same time. And I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? I know at a very early age, I did not want to work for anyone. Very early age. My dad taught me at a very young age. I knew I didn't want to do it. So at a young age, I learned that I didn't need to be big to make money. And that's what you guys all have to remember. You do not need to be a huge success to make money. It's all about your grind. And I know you guys hear the word grind so much, but my definition of grind is just simply doing the same thing every day, over and over, to reach one goal. And what is your goal? You could be working at Burger King and you want to literally be a painter. Burger King is your grind. It's because anything you want to do, you need what? Capital, right? You need capital. How do you create capital? You work. How do you keep the capital? You save. The financial literacy is so important. So at a very early age, I knew that. So what was I doing? I was making beats in school. I was majoring in music, minoring in music technology, majoring in business administration. I started making beats in school. I started a website on my own, sold beats on the website, quit my job when I was 18 because I was making $3,000 a month as an 18-year-old. And that's one thing I learned from Dr. Miles Monroe, rest in peace. He was very adamant about your purpose. And once you know your purpose, if you're not doing it, what are you doing? Once you know it, and at an early age, God was able to give me that, so I knew it. So I knew one thing that he always taught us when he would come to our church, and he was like, one example he gave was, if you're a baker, and you want to be a baker, but you work at, give me a store, Sprint store, what are you going to do? You're going to start bringing that recipe to your Sprint store. You're going to start making these cookies, and you're going to start giving them to everyone. And that's something that I started doing at a young age. I was giving beats away for free. I was selling beats for $20. And one person I sold a beat for $50 happened to be Trick Daddy Dollars. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He bought my beat for $50. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, so when they called me, I was like, why did you guys pay $50? Why didn't you pay more? He said, that's what you sold it for. I was like, I learned a valuable lesson there because it's a two-way sword, right? I'm getting opportunities, but I'm dumbing down my price. But it gave me the opportunities I needed to get where I wanted to go. So one thing that's very important I want to share with you guys is your social ability as an entrepreneur, as a business person, is so important. I'm not saying you just be likable, but if people are not drawn to you, if you don't have something that you can have a conversation with somebody and bring something to the table, you're not valuable. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so for me, if I met an artist, I met Trick Daddy, I was like, yo, man, I got way more beats. You can get them for free still. And he was like, oh, okay, come out to my video shoot and play me the beats. So I played him the beats. He took another beat for free. And I ended up with 2 songs on that album. But one of the songs, he put a rapper on named Birdman, who's down the line connected to Lil Wayne. So, me, Another point I have to make is you cannot be concerned with what anyone thinks about you. In this, 100%, my man, you cannot, because I was a young person walking right up to people way bigger than me and offering them, what did I have to offer? Music. What do they need? Music. And what do I have that they don't have? I can give it to you for free. You know what I'm saying? So I was doing this, and during this process, I met so many people down the line. Eventually working with Lil Wayne, working with Birdman. From these relationships that I built, just giving beats away for free, I was able to meet more people. And as you meet more people, the networking is so important. And that's when you go back to your grind. See, now my grind is I'm not rich yet. My grind is to make beats every day. Every day. If your grind is to be a painter, you're painting every day. If your grind is to be a web designer, you're web designing every single day. And that's what's going to create the opportunity. And preparation. Success is nothing but preparation plus opportunity. But if you're not prepared when the opportunity comes, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's really nothing at the end of the day outside of preparation, the grind, and focus that's going to get you there. On the physical plane. Now, if we go into the spiritual plane, there's a lot of things that you need to be aligned with, you know what I mean? The number one thing is your purpose. Your purpose. When I was in college, I hate to say, but I dropped out of college 2 years into it. I had no choice. Literally, I had a choice between my future and doing school at the moment. So as I sat down, I talked to my dad, I talked to my mom. I said, I know what I want to do. At this point, I'm literally spending money for my own college because I didn't want student loans because I know how bad that would get. Let me just stop and I'll come back. I stopped, I moved to Atlanta with $5,000 in my pocket and started the grind all over, the reset all over. I had some success, but I didn't make any money. And then one day I was in the studio hanging out, and Birdman was there. He was like, yo, I want you to meet this new artist I got. Come over here. Her name was Nicki Minaj. Never heard of her, didn't know who she was. She had pink hair, it was crazy. Went over there, she was like, yo, how much are your beats? I said, $1. To this day, I said $1. And she was like, wow. But it made her laugh, but what did it do? It put me in the position I needed to be in. Because for instance, if you're too concerned about money in the beginning, this is your craft, this is your passion, the money will come. And that's what's extremely important for this. And that's what it was about for me. It was the money and building brands and just building my brand off the strength of I had a gift, I have a craft, and I'm able to spread it with people without necessarily charging them. So when I learned that ability, I know I can bring something to the table that you can't get with Timberland, you can't get with Polo, you can't get with anyone, because these dudes will charge you $50,000 for a beat. So how do I make myself valuable amongst all these people who are already valuable? I bring something to the table, and that's when it comes to mastering your craft. Not perfecting your craft, mastering. There's an extreme difference. Perfection is like the cousin of procrastination. It's extremely, your best bet is mastering your craft. Me as a creative, and if you know any creatives, the biggest struggle as a creative you're gonna have is finishing. It's gonna be in yourself. Is this perfect? Is this ready? And once you cannot deal on that with perfection, that will set you back 1,000 times percent. Procrastination is the biggest problem I see with young entrepreneurs, young business people waiting to the last minute to go out there and do it. Do you know what I mean? There was a study, this is not in my notes, but it was just a study I remember reading. It was a teacher, and what he did was he put 20 students over here to build pottery vases and 20 students over here to build pottery vases. He said, you guys make the best possible vases you can. He said, you guys make the most vases you can. Now, at the end, we're gonna judge and see who has the best vases. Who do you think had the best vases? The people who made the most vases. Do you know why? The people who made the quality vases had never made vases before. They spent so much time perfecting it, while the people who made the quality vases, they learned from each experience. Do you know what I'm saying? We made one, we messed it up. We made another one, we messed it up. By the time we're on the 6th vase, we're better than these people who are still on the first one. And that's what I mean when I say perfection is almost a cousin of procrastination in the sense of your gift, your building. You need to go out there and get it. There's no excuse. And when you start getting it and you start doing it, you'll see everything fall in place because the preparation is there. You've already made 10 beats, You've already made 10 computers. When the money comes, you know how to do. When the opportunity comes, you're ready. Because I see so many people too who grind, ready, they're praying, and then the opportunity flies right past them. They didn't even realize it. Why? Because they weren't ready. Why? They didn't have the social skills. Why? They were worried about what people thought about them. You know what I mean? That's where it goes. And secondly, another point I want to make is you can't, let's be real about it, you can't get off the ground without the capital. And that's what everybody here has to figure out. If I'm an entrepreneur and I want to get to the next level, how do I create capital for my business? For me, I have $5,000. What did I do? Well, one thing I did was I spent $4,000 on my studio. You know what I mean? I spent $900 on my rent. I had $100 left. Lord, forgive me. I was like taking food from Publix. You know what I mean? And Lord, forgive me, but it was a time when I knew what I had to do. And investing in yourself is the most important thing you can do. 398 out of the 400 richest people in the world got their money from private equity. And all that means is they got their money from investing in their homeboy. They got their money from investing in themselves. Private equity meaning it's not publicly traded. It's my homeboy coming up with an idea that says, hey, I got this app. Give me $25,000. I think I can get everybody to ride around in a car for the stranger. Do you know what I mean? And those people who invested are the people who become next level millionaires. So if you're spending the money that you make on frivolous activities, on cars, on jewelry, you wonder why you're not moving forward. You have to invest in yourself. It's extremely important. We live in a day nowadays, social network is out of here. If you can't brand yourself, you're left behind. One thing that I did at a very early age is I came up with a tag for my production, and it was Kane is in the building, and it just stuck. It just stuck. You hear it on songs, and you see a lot of producers do it now, but what it did for me was I grew up in an age where the producer was really in the background. How do I move to the forefront? You know what I mean? And then when people find out, like, yo, this is the guy who's giving me beats for free, he's on the radio. You built all these relationships from ground up. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's what's been important for me. So like I tell you guys here, every single person here, network, network, network. You have no idea. I've been doing this about 15 years. And so many times, people who started on the level with me today are here. People who started here are here. What's the difference? The focus. It really comes down to the focus. So it just gets me to where I'm at today in my journey. Like recently, I've moved more into the business executive side of production. I still do production, but I have more goals, bigger, higher goals. I did a record deal with Atlantic Records where I'm signing and I'm bringing new songwriters and new musicians to the forefront. We produce on movies. We did 3 on Spider-Man that just came out. We did 2 on Crazy Rich Asians. We did 3 on Venom, the Venom movie. So we're doing, and these are abilities that I have from these relationships that I've built. You know what I mean? And it's extremely important that in the process of me growing in this process and learning, I see a lot of people get on this high horse, right? And they burn bridges. And the thing is, what you don't want to do in any business as an entrepreneur is think that you're hotter than the next person. Your stock is 30% up, so you feel 30% smarter. That's not the way we do this here. The people who have succeeded and maintained that success have never took their competition for granted, never took their next door person for granted. All the tools that you have possibly could be in this room right now. So a big part for me is networking, making sure we maintain like purity in our thing. And especially I see a lot of people here as colored people. It's extremely important that we put our best foot forward in every single thing we do. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because every time I do well, I'm breaking a stereotype for you. Every time you do well, you're breaking a stereotype for me. And every time we do bad or we don't do our best, we're just adding on to it. So another thing I do as like a passion of mine is just spreading the importance of financial literacy to every single person that I meet. Because yeah, you're gonna be able to get money. You guys all have goals. If you follow the simple steps, don't spend a lot of money, live way below your means. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you say, for instance, you make $100,000 this year, you should not buy a BMW. You should not buy a chain. You should not buy anything. If you made $100,000 this year, what would you do with it? 50,000 don't even touch. 50,000 goes into the bank. 25,000 of that goes into you. Do you know what I'm saying? Into your business, into making money. And 25,000 of that goes into staying alive. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what it's about. As the entrepreneur, the hardest thing you're gonna struggle with is survival. It's not guaranteed. And that's the risk that we all take to be our own boss. Every single person who wants to be their own boss is putting themselves out on a limb. And that risk the payoff is way worth it. But how do you create capital? You have to save. It's very important that you guys, that's when it goes back to your grind. Whatever your grind is, that's what's gonna take you to the next level. Do you understand what I'm saying? For me, it was selling beats. For my friend, I sat him down the other day and I explained to him, you're making $60,000 a year. You should be able to save $40,000 a year. You share your rent, you have a roommate, there's things you can do, especially while you're young. I see you guys, you're young. The biggest advice I can give to a young person here is you can make mistakes for free. For free. And nobody else you'll never have another chance to do that. Me, I'm 30 years old now, I have a wife, I have a kid. I can't make the same mistakes I used to make. And this is your chance to mess up. Go get everything you want. Go do everything you need to do. Make the mistakes. If it doesn't work, start over, because you have that chance. And you won't have that chance again. So thanks everybody for your time, and see you guys in the next session.